Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha with Ice Cream Fitness here. Alright, today I want to talk to you guys about speed work or dynamic effort work because I've noticed I talk about it in my comments when people ask me about my personal training and what I personally use. And when I mention speed work or dynamic effort work, all the powerlifters know what I'm talking about, all the college football players know what I'm talking about who are subscribed, all the strength athletes know exactly what I'm talking about. But the guys who are pure bodybuilders, who they're coming purely from a background of reading magazines and just current fitness culture, and particularly novices, have no clue what in the hell I'm talking about. So I'm just going to briefly explain that for you guys. But hold on, let me give you guys a bicep shot first. Alright, speed work originated during the Cold War. Russian exercise scientists started utilizing this sort of training methods in their own research. And it's one of the reasons is they just destroyed all of us in the West in any sport involving strength, power, or speed. And this method of training was popularized by Louis Simmons and Westside Barbell here in the West, and they developed it even further and produced tons and tons of champions. And under Louis Simmons' guidance, using these sort of methods, his gym produced more 800 and 900 pound squatters and deadlifters and more 500 and 600 pound bench pressers than any other gym in the world. So it is a proven method. It's now even carried over into the NFL. Joe DeFranco uses a lot of this with his guys to help them get into the NFL, so it's carried over into professional sports at this point. Louis also felt in his experience observing guys that guys who do lots of dynamic effort work tend to gain muscle very, very rapidly. And I happen to know a strength and conditioning coach here named Chris Long, who has a master's degree in exercise science and has been a professional athlete and works with athletes now, who in his opinion, speed work for some individuals who are genetically prone to it will actually produce more hypertrophy in those individuals than traditional bodybuilding work will. So I'm just going to explain to you guys the idea behind it. Normally, people get caught up in this idea of low reps with heavy weight, or high reps with moderate or lightweight, but they're completely disregarding the velocity and speed factor. And we know due to the research the Russians did, and we've now picked it up in the West finally, that the faster you accelerate a weight, the more force you have to produce. That to accelerate a relatively light weight at double the normal velocity that you would move it at can actually require just as much force generation as a 1 rep max, which also means just as many muscle fibers and as much nervous system recruitment as a 1 rep max. So in effect, speed work is doing very lightweight for super fast bar speeds, which you can only do 2 to 3 reps because then the nervous system cannot recruit fibers fast enough to continue to do that. But what you can do is replicate a 1 rep max with a lighter weight while putting less strain on your joints and things like that. And the other thing that's interesting to note is that you recover from it much, much faster, and you can oftentimes do 10 sets of 2 or 3 speed reps back to back to back with 60 seconds or less between them. And so you end up getting the equivalent of the nervous system firing of up to 20 to 30 1 rep maxes done inside of 10 minutes. And this trains the body and the nervous system to turn motor units on faster and recruit muscle fibers more quickly than it normally has to, which will then give you more explosive power when you do a 1 rep max or when you hit someone on the football field. But the thing that you have to note with it is it carries over into your other training. It makes you stronger, and because you're recruiting maximum muscle fibers on every single rep when you do this sort of high volume speed work, you're actually creating a fairly decent amount of time under tension while recruiting maximum motor units on every single rep. So it ends up being very good for hypertrophy, and as again people have noted who use it, a lot of guys who use it get very, very big very quickly doing it. And it may, as this gets studied further in exercise science, at some point it might be advised that people completely replace hypertrophy work with it. Now, the issue with it is that while it's very effective, I'm going to link some videos down in the comments of me doing some speed work earlier this year. My current speed work is a lot more elaborate than what you see me doing there because I use a lot of chains and things now. But speed work is very complex. You generally work with 40 to 70% of your 1 rep max, depending on what you're doing, whether you're doing stretch reflex type or whether you're getting pauses out of it, whether you're using chains and bands or just weights. It tends to be very elaborate and there's no margin for error. So someone who doesn't understand their body perfectly and they can't do a textbook perfect bench press or squat with a heavy weight, this person will hurt themselves doing speed work. So it's potentially dangerous for those who don't have a proper understanding of biomechanics or mind-body awareness. So it's not always good for the novice lifter. And what I mean by that is on a bench press, if you do not use a bench press technique that could safely do 400 pounds without injury, then doing speed work with even 150 pounds for you with an improper technique has a high chance of injuring you. As you'll see if you watch my own video of me speed benching, it should be apparent very quickly why this is a problem. So while it is a very, very effective method, it can be dangerous when used by those without experience. So if you're going to start experimenting with speed work, I suggest you do a lot of research on it, and you need to make sure that you have absolutely perfect power bench form, squat form, things like that, because if you have any form breakdown whatsoever and you start incorporating speed work, you have a very high chance of injuring yourself. However, when it's done correctly, it actually has a lower chance of injury than heavy work. So there's a bit of a compromise. So my advice is if you guys want to check it out further, look into it, feel free to do so, but make sure that you have your technique perfect and you've researched how to do speed work correctly before you jump into it. All right, that's all I have to say on that today, guys, and I will talk to you next time.